Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan podcast. On today's show, Mango's hopes killed by the Air Service License Council, Cathay Pacific in no hurry to return to Johannesburg, Qatar receives a dodgy amount of pilot applications and they hit a pole.
Emirates cuts flights to Nigeria. They also start external interviews for first officers, and Qantas execs to work as baggage handlers for the next 3 months.
South African visa issues still a major problem. The importance of proof of work and never give up on your dreams. As always, today's show is sponsored by Bryan and Ryan. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, pal.
Hey, we're back.
Again.
Second episode this week.
Yeah, double header. I quite like these though.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
Eh?
Yeah.
It
Sort
gets
of-
us.
Yeah.
You're a little bit more in tune when. Or let's see. Let's not count our chickens too quick. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll be useless today, but I doubt it.
I was going to say, it just feels like we a little bit more current.
If you don't know what we're talking about, we did an episode with Arpat Sakal earlier in the week where we spoke about the talent shortage in aviation. Really cool episode, and I got some feedback.
There was quite a bit of feedback, eh?
Yeah.
Quite a bit of positive feedback. What did you hear?
Okay, so Mark Mason got hold of me.
Yeah?
And he said, listen, guys, enjoyed the episode, was awesome, but he fits into the picky bunch of pilots. It's weird that from Mark, eh? Wouldn't come across as being picky. But he said he's one of these guys that wants to fly, but also wants to keep the other stuff that he's done and make sure that that carries on. And then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that's actually where I am too. I mean, I would love to still fly, but I definitely wouldn't give up what we're doing now to go and fly. So I think a lot of pilots actually fall within that bracket, Ryan, where they, you don't just fall out of love with flying, let's face it, but you certainly would like to do both. And I think maybe we didn't touch on that as much as we'd liked in that episode. If you want to go check that episode out, check it out. It was really good. I like what Arpad said. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and it was cool chatting to him all about the aviation talent shortage.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. I certainly enjoyed it. And, like Mike says, I can totally relate to that. I mean, you've worked this hard on, trying to set up something else, rebuild another career. You don't totally want to just give that all up.
No, you can't.
And it is quite difficult to have your cake and eat it. A lot of guys in that position. And it leaves you with a choice and decisions to make.
Yeah.
But at least there is an opportunity to make choices and decisions. So it's a nicer position to be in, I suppose.
No, I agree. But definitely worth a mention. So thanks, Mark, for the input there. Let's get to it. Local news, Ryan.
Yeah, lots has happened.
The main thing for me, this Mango story.
Yeah. Look, Air Service Licensing Council has suspended their routes for up to 2 years. But at the same time, they've got someone bidding to buy the airline, which is going to put a massive spoke in the wheel.
So earlier last week, they get someone that provides proof of funding.
Yes.
That they're going to buy the airline and start operating again. Later in the week, Air Service License Council comes along and says, no, your license is suspended for 2 years.
Yeah, I initially, when I saw that, thought,
Smell a rat.
Yeah. However, it's just come out this afternoon, just before we started the show, that there was an article in, it was Fake News 24, but plausible nonetheless, that apparently SAA have also been given 90 days to prove where they're going with the Qatar deal. Otherwise, the Air Services Licensing Council is going to come after them for their routes as well.
Okay.
So, where I initially thought there might be some skullduggery, it looks like it's just
across the board.
The licensing council's on a mission.
Yeah, they haven't done any work for the last 3 years, and all of a sudden they're clapping it there. Anyway, so keep an eye on this story. Yeah, look, there's two sides to the fence on this one. You can say, why on earth would we want Mango back? They cost the country and all of us taxpayers a lot of money. We don't need Mango. That's what you could say. The other thing you could say is, it's going to provide a lot of jobs for a lot of pilots, and why not have them back?
Yeah. Look.
So it's not a done deal. The opinion is divided on this one.
Yeah.
On Mango's return.
Suppose we'd want to see it, like you said, because it would be great to see guys and girls get their jobs back. And I suppose it would be nice to have an extra airline taking up some of the slack, on the routes, because there's been a lot of frustration about the lack of capacity at the moment.
And the subsequent high ticket prices.
Exactly. However, I just don't know. It's not going to be an overnight deal that Mango comes in and starts up and you see them running in 2
Well, there's no
3 months' time.
aircraft. I think they got one engine or something like that. So there's nothing really there.
They're going to have to go and sort out crew and post holders and everything. That's going to take time. So
I was actually under the impression when that story first broke about the proof of funding, was that not the consortium that was supposed to buy into South African Airways? You know, how many consortiums are there with money at the moment that want to buy into an airline? And I would have thought, well, they can spend an exorbitant amount of money to take on SAA. Can they not achieve the same thing by taking on Mango for a fraction of the cost? That was my thinking, but maybe I'm totally off the ball.
Who knows? Let's see where it goes.
Airlink premium and qualifying passengers can now use the slow lounge at Joburg Airport.
That's a nice little perk. Yeah,
lounges are cool.
You need them, man. It's really so much better than sitting on that, cold stainless steel park bench. Go to a lounge, grab a
and the lounges in South Africa are on another level compared to,
what they
for
are,
example, like Charles de Gaulle.
No, they're pretty cool. Nice, comfy seats, good coffee. Most of the time, pretty good chow. I spent a lot of time in the lounges in my time at.
You changed banks just to go to a particular lounge.
I did.
So did I. No, cool.
Have you seen this whole debacle with Comair? It's left British Airways with a bit of a conundrum. They've got to now try and find another partner to carry their colours and their franchise agreement.
And they want another partner.
They do. Yeah. So who are they going to pick to wear their colours in South Africa at the moment?
I don't know. Seme is a bit red and blue, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
One wonders. I don't know.
Yeah. So I thought that was fascinating.
It's funny. Comair, had that branding for so long. It's synonymous with that British Airways branding.
Exactly.
It'll be weird to see those colours on another carrier.
Yeah. You can't exactly have like an orange airplane with BA on the side.
Yeah. I would have thought British Airways would have seen this like, we've been burnt once. We're not going to get burnt again.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would stay away from it. It's like a slightly peculiar agreement from the outside, at least. Maybe if you know the inner workings of it, might be a bit different. But certainly from the outside, it's a bit strange.
Well, perhaps one of our listeners has a bit of insight into that and can share some of that information.
Our listeners do have good insight. I can tell you that, Ryan. And speaking of that, we did mention Cathay quite a bit a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Our opinion on what's happening in Hong Kong. An article came out soon after that about Cathay Pacific in no hurry to return to Johannesburg. And that was a notice that went out to a lot of the tour operators. Funny enough, the input that we get from Hong Kong is also quite divided. We've got a couple of contacts who are at Cathay that seem quite positive about the future and seem to be, think that Cathay will be operating to Johannesburg, possibly even by November. Others are saying, no ways, man, they're getting out of that place as quick as possible. So a very divided place. And I suppose it's been so difficult for a lot of people there in Hong Kong over the last couple of years. And I was watching on Saturday morning. Actually, no, it was during the public holiday, Tuesday morning this week. And there was a video of a passenger. This wasn't in Hong Kong. It was in Hainan. And they had tested positive for COVID at the airport. So they get put, Ryan, in like this trailer. It's like this clear trailer with a roof on.
Yeah.
And a little seat. And the person that had tested positive is sitting in this trailer, and they're being basically pulled to wherever they're going to now do their quarantine. And they were stopping cars, and it was like this big thing, moving this trailer across the road while this person sits inside like Kippy the sardine.
And everyone can see into the sea.
Everyone can see through. I mean, it looked like the fucking Pope in there. Like when it just ludicrous, and it just made me mad. It just made me mad, and it brought out. I actually commented on it, and the quote that came to mind was that certainly not my quote. I can't even tell you who it was, but good times create weak men create hard times create good men, and
look. That is
and this
so
is
true.
the weakest of the weakest men. That's just what it looks like. It just awful. It was a girl, first of all, young girl sitting in this, confined space because they've tested positive for this thing that we've already proven is
that
not.
The rest of the world has forgotten about.
Yeah.
I mean, gee whiz, they really have taken it to another level. I mean,
look, that wasn't in Hong Kong, but it's the policy is the same, whether mainland China and Hong Kong. So it's just very difficult for all the people there, and sort of thoughts do go out to those families and everyone there.
It's a pity about Cathay not returning to Johannesburg. I mean, so many of our friends are obviously working and living in Hong Kong, and I think for them it would be nothing better than to have a direct flight back home to come and visit friends and family. But what can you do?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Moving on to Africa, here Nigeria and Emirates, they continue their row. So Emirates are cutting back on some of the flights to Nigeria. That's because Nigerian government been holding on to a bit of the revenue that's owed to Emirates. So, no surprise. But it's a big market. This was quite big news because if they cut just a few flights, it's a lot of seats that are then missing going into the country. It's a lot of revenue that gets cut.
It's disrupting the connectivity because we've seen now this week that Air Peace are suspending their direct flights from Lagos to Joburg as of the 22nd of August, which is it's a bit crap because there's a lot of business that comes on that route.
Yep.
And now you are forced to get to Joburg, or in between Joburg and Lagos. An ideal connection would be Joburg, Dubai, Lagos with Emirates. I suppose that now just favors the African airlines like Ethiopian. But a lot going on in Nigeria at the moment with
fuel prices, airlines been in trouble. There's been a sort of an audit of all the local carriers there, making sure they're doing everything properly, and that's a lot going on in Nigerian aviation at the moment.
Certainly not easy for them. And
no. IATA, of course, keeping a close eye on it because Emirates being an IATA airline, obviously, IATA has their backing. Let's just say that. Should we shift to some international news?
Let's go.
All right, so carrying on with that chat with Arpad the other day, Qatar Airways CEO says they received 20,000 applications for 700 jobs. Do you believe that?
Smoke and mirrors, man.
I agree.
I don't think that's...
20,000 applications. Apparently, everyone that applied was fully qualified, had all the required ratings, and had sort of gone through, met the requirements, the high safety requirements of Qatar.
I don't think so.
Me neither.
I think Qatar, look, they're a good airline. They are winning accolades and awards for their service and everything.
Best airline in the world.
Yeah. I don't know that the crew are running towards that. Certainly not 20,000 applicants.
For 700 jobs.
I doubt it, man.
Yeah.
Fly Dubai, on the other hand.
20,000 South Africans just applying.
Yeah.
So we keep an eye on that one. Staying with Qatar. Chicago O'Hare is where it happened, Ryan.
Okay.
Cargo 777-200 collided with a light post, severely damaging both of its wings. The aircraft's wing collided with the pole as it was taxiing. We can confirm that no crew members were hurt and the event is currently being investigated. If they were Western crew, I don't think they're still there.
No. They're now looking for another 702 pilots. Have you noticed recently, I think I'd say in the last couple of years, there's been more and more of those types of incidents where airplanes are taxiing into each other, into poles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, far less air crashes, but ground incidents where guys are, taxiing into trucks or trucks are riding into airplanes. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, what might seem like basic mistakes.
It happens quite
a
often.
lot lately.
Yeah.
Is it just because we're more aware of it now with the podcast?
I suppose, we got the news coming at us, quite a lot. I suppose so.
But when I read a story like that, the first thing that comes to mind is, man, I feel sorry for the pilots because, if they were foreign, then they're on their bike. Yeah,
but you also, you got to feel like a real knob. You've just flown this heavy chunk of metal, thousands of miles. You've landed it successfully. Yeah. After that cool landing, you feel like a hero. Taxi airplane in, and you're doing a pole.
Yeah, you sober up more of it quickly. Emirates, the world's largest operator of A380s, 777s, is looking to recruit first officers who meet the airline's exceptional safety standards, technical prowess, and customer experience. Successful candidates can look forward to climbing new career heights with Emirates' all-wide-body fleet and the ever-expanding global route network, and enjoy an excellent lifestyle in dynamic Dubai. 6 continents and 140 destinations. Today's episode is sponsored by Emirates. That was straight off their website, but there's a lot of people out there that would be very, very happy to read that because Emirates has had a closed-door policy now for a while.
Yeah.
They were a main employer of South African pilots for a long, long time, and they're employing first officers again. So that's great news, and hopefully they can take some of the pilots that had applied to maybe fly Dubai and didn't get in. So it's really, really good news for...
No, it's fantastic
for everyone.
Again, it's just, generating the movement, the movement that's already going, but it's expediting things. It's cool. Creates flow and opportunities for guys, which is great.
Good move. And the guys that, everyone that's gone back, including cabin crew, all very happy there again. I've heard nothing negative. In fact, we very rarely did hear anything negative from any of the Emirates crew that had been sort of furloughed.
Yeah.
No one had anything negative to say. I must say that is a real sort of feather in the cap because that was probably the only airline where we chatted to a lot of people and no one really had any gripes about it. It was when they hire again, are you going to go back? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
and the nice thing about it is that they've got. It's a sure thing that they're always going to have decent equipment to fly. The 380s, 777s. They apparently sniffing at 787s and A350s as well.
Yeah, it said at the end, it means flying one of the youngest and most modern fleets, now numbering 265 Airbus and Boeing aircraft. Emirates' continuous investment in renewing its fleet, the airline pilots will also be flying 787-9 Dreamliners, Boeing 777Xs and 350-900s in the coming years.
It's always nice to go to work and fly something that still smells like a new airplane.
Yeah.
We didn't have that at SAC.
No. Particularly after the Lubumbashi flight.
Do you remember?
Jeez.
Anyway.
Yeah, a mixture of curry and shit.
Yeah.
You're not an exec at Qantas, are you?
No, and I can't imagine that the Qantas execs are
overly chuffed,
pressed by their new task sheet.
What's going on there?
So they've been told, listen, guys, for the next 3 months, we need you to put your boots on the ground, and you're gonna go and load baggage on that plane, and that plane.
Jeez, Oz is one of those places that I find this strange because. And I can't verify this, but I think it is true. You're not even really allowed to change a light bulb in your house. You have to call in an electrician.
You have to be certified to change a light bulb.
So how does the little the exec now going to be lifting 30-kilo bags onto the aircraft? The note went on to say that applicants need to be able to move suitcases weighing as much as 32 kilos each.
Yeah, and an exec who sits in front of their MacBook all day is going to, in Australia, I can just picture it. There's a lot of upset because the people who were let go from their jobs were, they had to go through airside induction training. They had to learn how to wear their reflective vest properly.
It's one of the most safety conscious countries in the world, and now these execs are just going to go load bags. So to me, that was almost done in like, let us show you what we can do.
When I read that article, I thought, man, only in Oz.
Only in Oz. Yeah. And what's quite funny is, you've got this sort of system in Oz where the earnability is not supposed to vary too much between job to job. So they're kind of saying that the exec and the baggage handler they were in the same tax bracket, so just go.
That's an interesting one for the bean counters when it comes to dishing out increases.
Yeah. In saying that, our Oz numbers went up drastically this last week, so thank you to everyone in Australia.
Yeah.
And they might decrease drastically after your impression there, pal.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
It was good.
Yeah. At least the Aussies can't be as upset at us as the New Zealanders are.
They are,
because we gave the All Blacks a hiding this weekend.
That was the biggest hiding that the All Black we've ever given the All Blacks. It was in every facet of the game.
Yeah,
and I hope that follows through to this weekend. I tried to get tickets; it's sold out at Ellis Park, so it's going to be a big game this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's going to be massissive. And
well done to the Box.
Hopefully we get the same result this weekend. But I mean, playing against the All Blacks in a stadium like Nelspruit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't get more South African and brandied up than that. So
I've just written a note here in brackets anthem, so I don't forget to mention it to you, because did you listen to that anthem?
Yeah,
in that stadium.
It was powerful.
It was powered by Richelieu and Boerewors there.
Yeah,
heavy. It was heavy.
You could even see that when the All Blacks were doing their haka, it was like, just didn't feel the same.
No, we're gonna lose this one. But it was an awesome event.
Yeah,
and nice to see the Box playing so well.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. The US FAA, in an emailed statement on Monday, looks like the 787 Dreamliner has now met the certification standards. So it was an article in Bloomberg. So deliveries of the 787 can start again. However, there's another article out. I haven't managed to read it yet. I'll definitely report on it next week in the Air Current about the 787. So it's not as clear cut as maybe this first article suggests. But yeah, certification all looks like it's meeting the right standards at the moment. So if you like the 787, you can expect to see a bit more of them in the coming years.
Good news for Boeing, hey? I mean, because there's still a lot of contention between them and Airbus.
Yeah,
it looks like Boeing is in it to win it right now.
They are.
Did you see the FAA are proposing a second barrier for flight decks now? Apparently,
in addition to the
existing one,
bulletproof.
Because of all the shenanigans with the passengers that were forced to wear masks. We spoke about it on the show a number of episodes ago, but people getting fed up and causing trouble on the aircraft. And now the FAA says to keep flight crews safe, they want to obviously create a second barrier of entry. What that looks like, I don't quite know, but it's
more weight on the aircraft and less coffee for the pilots, because it's going to be even more of a mission to come in and out.
Exactly. Yeah,
those doors are a bit of a pain.
They are a hack. Anyway, I haven't seen one in a while.
Just fight off the riffraff with your axe. The hangover from Farnborough, Ryan, is now done. And again, Air Current, the article came out. Quite interesting, because there are simply very, very few orders of wide-body aircraft around the world. Next to none. The cargo market dominates, so all the wide bodies are being taken up by the cargo market. But for passengers, forget about it. It's just the demand is not there. A lot of narrow bodies, your Maxes and your 321s and stuff like that. But what's also taken a hit, I never quite realized this, is the regional side. So Embraer, not a huge amount of sales coming. You didn't hear any massive orders for 195s or any E2s. And, sticking with what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, the CRJ still very much used around the world because there's nothing really to actually replace it. So that regional aircraft side, hasn't been pumped up to the extent that I certainly would have thought. And all the airlines sticking pretty much to the narrow body orders as opposed to even coming close to wide body orders.
Well, talking of that, I read an article as well where they were talking about the same thing. However, airlines are actually choosing to stick with turboprops.
Mm-hmm.
Your Q400s, ATRs are actually working harder now and more popular than the narrow bodies because obviously they are proving to be a little bit more cost effective as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, strange little phase that we're in.
Yeah, the article went on to say, for 2022, the return of the summer air show offered an in-person reprieve from the remote nature of aviation since the Le Bourget gathering in 2019. Yet amid the news and hype to come out of the show, the course of 2022 remains as it started. Continues to be a year of dualities, a year of both feast and famine for aircraft types, and a year where both everything changed and nothing changed. So it's not... as Arpad said on the show, it's not clean and clear. We're not out of this.
Not completely.
Not completely.
But we're getting there.
Yeah. But certainly, how can I say? People are going back to jobs. We are certainly training a lot more. But there is this element of sort of not quite before the storm, maybe whatever the term is, post the storm, but there's almost this sort of nervousness. And the wide body side for me is important because if an airline is willing to outlay all that capital to go and buy these wide bodies, they truly have to believe that the demand is there. The only airline in the world that I've heard talking about they need more is Emirates. Everyone else is like, whoa, we'd rather cut flights right now than go and do something stupid. So, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's anything to be overly concerned about the industry, but your industry is not going to be back in 2022. It's going to take a good, I'd say at least another year before we start seeing these crazy numbers. Who knows? Maybe Le Bourget next year there's big orders for 777Xs and 350s, but certainly this year it's all narrow body stuff.
Yeah. No, look, I think the general consensus is that I think everyone's just relieved that there has been a recovery as quick as it has been. You know, initially we all thought, this is going to take 5, 6, 7 years.
Bearing in mind there is a war going on in Europe,
and that in itself is causing upheaval. With your favorite term, supply chain issues. It is making things very difficult, and the price of fuel. Yeah, so let's see where it goes. Hopefully that blows over pretty soon. And
you think the wars have had a bigger impact than maybe what we originally thought it would?
I certainly think so.
I think so.
And
maybe the impact of that is we're yet to actually feel that. Like you say, those supply chain issues are always felt later down the line. So ICAO's credibility coming into question a little bit, staying with the war.
Why is that?
Well, the Russian government is violating any ICAO agreements that were put in place, the Chicago Convention. And what are they going to do about it? You know, it's an outright violation of certain things. Aircraft parts are hard to or impossible for them to come by. So how are they actually keeping the aircraft in the air without breaking the law? So the rest of the world is saying, well, keep an eye on what ICAO do about this, because if they don't do something or there are no ramifications at some point, then credibility certainly will be brought into question. But Russia is an ICAO Council member, but the Commission states that it is actively looking against principles laid down to ensure air transport safety. ICAO is set to bring the issue of Russia behavior to its 41st assembly, which is scheduled to begin late in September. So we'll hear then what ICAO plans to do with the Russian airlines. And obviously, like best case scenario, the war ends tomorrow. What are ICAO going to do about those breaches in the rules and the law and the safety? Because ultimately, those aircraft there that have been maintained illegally will not be allowed in Western airspace again. So what happens to Russian aviation?
Yeah, that's going to be
it's deep, man.
Interesting to watch, man. Yeah. Look, Russian aviation, where they're going anywhere at the moment, they're not allowed to fly anywhere. They're pretty much sanctioned.
Everywhere
for the most part. So
ultimately,
what'll change?
Well, the war has to end one way or another, and they're going to have to open the country up, and people are going to want to get around the world. But are they gonna rely on foreign airlines? Or Russia just going to say, okay, sorry, we broke the law, so we won't fly for a while? I don't see that happening.
Listen, the Russians have got a lot of money. They got all these what do you call them?
Oligarchs.
I was going to say oligarchs, but oligarchs. And like most of them have their own private jets that are registered in Cuba and all that. So they're just going to cruise around in their Gulf Streams and that are registered in Cuba.
But it's a big country, and there's only about how many oligarchs around?
There's more oligarchs in Russia than there are in South Africa.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Ryan, you and I are technical wizards.
Yes, we are.
Aviation technical wizards. Always been on the top of our technical game when it came to initial training and recurrent training. Got anything to know? Ryan will tell you the page in the FCOM that contains the information. Is that true?
100%.
100%.
I'm like that good.
You're the guy that you ask the question. Are you interested in telling me about the open fan engine?
Let me just Google that quickly because I can certainly tell you how to hit the search function to find that.
So basically, it's quite a cool looking thing actually. So during Farnborough, again, there was an announcement between CFM International and Safran aircraft engines. And it's about this open fan engine architecture. So it's basically a jet, but you've got your N1 fan on the front, which looks a lot like a big propeller, but it doesn't have the normal engine nacelle all the way around.
Yeah.
So it's open. You've got your confined nacelle around the N2 stage, but your N1, your propeller blade in the front, is basically open. A lot like a normal turboprop.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a jet. That thing's going to spin at a much higher speed. It's just not contained in a
That's interesting.
nacelle.
It's interesting.
It looks pretty weird.
I wonder how that's going to work because I'm just thinking about how a jet engine works and how a turboprop works, and if a turboprop fails, you got to feather the props and there's got to be some.
But does the nacelle make that much difference in terms of? I mean, you don't go and feather the N1s, do you?
No.
So
shut down the engine.
So
sure, I actually need to get that article from you and read it.
Yeah, it was quite interesting actually. So the whole purpose, obviously, that the whole engine block, the pod, everything. Obviously, if you're not putting the big cover around the engine, there's a huge amount of weight that is saved.
Okay.
So a lot of it's down to weight, and this in line with these efficiency things that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. So all about CO2 and aviation's plan to reduce the emissions drastically. So that's what it's all about emissions. But it's an interesting thing. The ducts, the nacelles, they perform an aerodynamic function. Okay, so you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Their primary function is structural, and they weigh a ton, literally. When you take that weight away in the open fan design, you also remove propulsion drag. Removing the nacelles lets a fan blade be a fan blade. When there's a nacelle, you have to decide how big you want the fan to be. But when you remove it, the fan is able to be as big as you need it to be from an aerodynamic standpoint. So you can go bigger and bigger and bigger on that N1, if I can call it that, blade.
Fascinating engineering going on there because, I mean, those engine nacelles typically have that Kevlar protective casing around it, and we've seen a lot of incidents where a fan is let go and it's destroyed itself, and that nacelle keeps it contained.
Yeah,
and it stops it from ripping the rest of the airplane to pieces. So
the picture I saw here, it's actually, it looks like a turboprop. The N2 section very small, but that prop on the front is massive, but it's working the same way as a jet.
Fascinating.
So as the GE team, it says here, rises to the aviation's industry challenge to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The open fan architecture also awakens our collective excitement because it's an obvious change from the traditional turbofan engine. So you might be seeing very, very different looking jets on aircraft in the very near future.
Exciting, man.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be coupled to some different fuselage designs as well. There's all those concepts that have been going around for years and years, like that delta wing type setup.
I agree. And you can actually sit in the wing, that type of deal.
And then, all these fancy new cabin setups where you got lie flat seats on all of them. So everybody's treated the same.
Yeah. Woke. Story of the week.
Let's have it.
So South African government and tourism are working very closely together here to push local tourism and travel.
Yep.
So they're trying to say support local and travel locally.
It's one of the industries in SA that's been the most vocal about trying to get back on their feet post-COVID.
And we're so heavily reliant on the travel industry at the moment. Heavy. But the South African government also is not issuing visas to any foreign nationals. I say any, of course they are, but it's taking up to a year for people to get visas. And during that application process, at some point, 6, 8, 10 months down the line, you may even get rejected. We're not getting people into the country for holiday and for business travel. It's a major, major problem. The issues are, no one can really put a finger on it. There's different companies that are fighting it. Law firms are fighting it. A lot of people are trying to, get to the bottom of it. They're holding the South African economy hostage because we can't get the overseas people in. We can't get foreign currency in. And it's a really bad thing. And I wonder if this little South African tourism plan is not because of that. They say, well, there's no foreigners coming in because no one can get a visa, so we better promote tourism within the country. It is ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. And it's been going on now for ages. We see it here at Samero. Nigerian clients in particular. Nigeria plays a massive role in certainly our trade here. And the Nigerians are really battling to get visas, sometimes, up to a year for them to pick up a visa. And even then, it's a one entry, 30-day in and out. It's just crazy. I mean, what was our Schengen visa when we last got one through SACS? It was a 5-year multiple entry, go there once, sort it out. I mean, why are we so pedantic?
Not only that, the whole process to get a visa through them. I think you did an online application, you got your appointment, and I remember to cover their asses, they would say it could take up to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You got there, dropped off your passport, you had an SMS back within 2 or 3 days, go fetch your passport, your visa was ready. It was like lightning fast and efficient.
So this is just ludicrous.
I just wish these numpties would realize, how much damage they're causing and how much money it's costing by their inadequacies and inefficiencies. Because it's ridiculous.
So the question goes, is it an inefficiency? Is it just incompetence? Or is it that they're being overly anal about it and not wanting to let people in? What is it?
Yeah, I don't think I can't see these guys being overly.
I rest on the inefficiency side.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're on the top of the game with everything else in the country. So,
like what? I mean, everything else is working. Roads are cool. Electricity's on form.
Hey, don't
keep it quiet.
We've got lights today, so
better not say anything.
Yeah,
we had a cool weekend away.
We did. It was awesome.
It was
to say
nice.
the least. Yeah, nice little
Veldstrom.
breakaway, and it just reminds you, like South Africa's got so much to offer, man.
It does.
Down the road, couple of days away in the
Easy
mountains.
drive.
Yeah, and it was a pretty drive as well.
It was. It was beautiful. The weather was top I mean, it's winter. It was 26 degrees when we arrived there.
Yeah.
Ryan and I had packed like we were going to the North Pole.
Yeah.
But it was nice and hot. And, it's so nice to travel again, even if it is a little local trip away. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, we certainly have to do more of that because, like I said, there's a lot to see. There is a lot to do in SA, and it's not all that bad. I mean, the roads are pretty good.
The roads were good.
So all in all, it was a great experience and quite easy to, book and go. So, yeah, we'll definitely do that again.
The liver took a bit of a knock.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly went on a mission to damage as many beer cans as we could.
Good fun was had by all.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my Bryan Air advisory?
As always, man.
This is an important one for me because it's been driving me nuts. The advisory this week is not a productivity tool. It's not a piece of tech. It's the ability to identify bullshit and the value of proof of work. There are too many scamsters out there these days, and there seems to be a lack of, is it understanding is the right word? I'm not sure. A lack of identification of when someone is talking rubbish. You're seeing it on LinkedIn almost every day. There's the signaling that happens.
Yeah.
And the comment section is all based on people saying, oh, wow, you're doing, this is great, and can I be part of your team, and blah, blah, blah. But the original post is based on absolute rubbish. And proof of work is important. Proof of work is having the back catalog of whatever, Podcast for Us or businesses that you've owned, your logbook as a pilot. That's what gives you the credibility. If you've been in the industry for, 20 odd years and you've accumulated, 10, 15,000 hours, that is your proof of work. That is your specific knowledge in aviation.
Yeah.
When someone comes along and I'm not going to say infiltrate your industry, but if someone comes along into aviation and they claim they're going to do this major thing, ask yourself, where is the proof of work? Based on what? I mean, I regard you and me, we clever young chaps, and we can, do what we can, but I'm not going to go and start a hospital tomorrow. I'm not, we stick to what we're good at, and you stick to what you know. What gives me the right to think I can go and do something like that?
Exactly.
I'm happy to talk about aviation. Why am I happy to talk about aviation, Ryan? Because I've been flying for a long time, and I feel like I've got the proof of work in aviation to have an opinion about the industry itself. That gives me the right to speak here today. At least that's my thinking behind it. Now, to come into our industry, you got to be quite careful because there's a lot of clever people in this industry that have a very good understanding of how this sector works.
Yeah.
And what's driven me bonkers the last year are these so-called airlines that are starting up, and not so much the post about the airline starting up, the comments about that flow after the post, if I can stick to the social media thing here, because it's just utterly insane.
And insulting, actually.
And insulting.
Yeah. I want to tag on something you said there as well. By upgrading your bullshit detector, you need that at the moment. You really do. And
that's a good one.
Like you were saying.
Upgrading, upgrade it to version 2.0. Because at the moment, there's too many. And some of my ex-colleagues, too. I look, what are you commenting on that for?
Exactly.
It's not going to work. You know the industry. What are you talking about?
There's no foundation in these proxies that are trying to start up. There's no credibility. And something that we obviously address and work with quite a lot, a term that we work with, is you're looking for the knowledge, skills, and attitudes in an organization. And these poses aren't coming with any of that.
No.
So
core values and things like this. Look, we're not trying to run anyone down. And we're not trying to say you can't have a dream and go after your dream. By all means, if it's your dream to go and start a business and run it, fine. But you got to have that proof of work. You got to build the business. You got to start it. You got to gain the credibility first.
Exactly.
Before you can go, you don't start employing before you've actually started the business.
Yeah. Because I don't think you realize, what you're doing to people.
You're giving false hope, and it's not a good thing.
Not at all.
So that's my advisory, the first part of it. I know you've got something you want to add there as well, Ryan. Just another thing I want to add to that. You made a comment, and I'm happy to not talk behind the guy's back. I'll tell him himself. It was an advisory going back probably early 2020.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, keep your bio as relevant as possible.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, so-and-so and so-and-so for 10 years or 15 years at South African Express Airways. That post gets sent to all your contacts.
Yes.
All your contacts get that and go, but this company's actually closed down. So this oak obviously is not using LinkedIn. Get rid of him. It's detrimental to your actual reach that you get on LinkedIn. Keep that up to date.
You can't spend that much amount of time on LinkedIn and not have that information updated and relevant, particularly if you are open to work.
Yes.
Don't get caught in the past.
That's it.
Keep going forward. Yeah. Now for my advisory.
Go.
And I think you actually mentioned it to me the other day. You said to me, have you listened to this? And I went and I listened to it last night and I was like, man, this is a good show. Joe Rogan podcast with Chris Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Must see.
It's a bomb.
Yeah, you got to watch or listen to it because some relevant conversation there. I don't want to talk about it too much or give you too many spoilers, but it's worth a mention. Chris Williamson, solid guy. And actually, for the first time, thought, Joe Rogan was almost starstruck by this, in a way, because...
Yeah, he spoke so well.
Yeah, it's a great convo.
And I was so proud of Chris on that show, because I've been following him for so long, when he almost had this little cult following, and then he's sitting on Joe Rogan's podcast. So very, very, very cool. And I'm very chuffed for Chris. Go check out that episode. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I'll leave it at that.
After Chris was on Rogan, apparently his socials, his podcast, everything has just gone
really
absolutely nuts.
Can't wait to see what happens when we get invited on Rogan's show.
Ryan, you and I have got a special mention we'd like to make this week.
Yes, we do.
To our very, very good mate, Gavin Hill. Gav was flying with us at SA Express. He was there when I got there. Ryan's known him even longer than me. He was mates before SA Express. Gav is one of these guys. He is an aviator through and through. He identifies with aviation. He lives, breathes, and sleeps aviation. He's just one of those guys. If you start talking about airplanes, his eyes light up. Absolute champion of a guy. Correct me if I'm wrong on the story, because you know it better than me. But Gav, when we were still at SACS and things were good and the salaries were still coming through, Gav had bought himself a RV8.
So ever since I've known Gav, which is probably reaching nearly 3 decades now, Gav has always spoken about, one day owning his own airplane. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'd prefer Gav tell the story, but I know that we went out on a bike ride the one afternoon, naturally having a few cold beers, and it came up again. He's like, So I said to him, I'll just, go get your own airplane.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize you would, actually go.
What is that about bad financial advice?
So anyway, it wasn't long after that, Gav, he came and he told us, no, he's found this kid, he's going to build his own airplane. And he started it, which was really cool. So he started that back about probably 6 years ago or something.
Okay. So he started it when, times were a bit different.
Yeah.
And then, the whole, COVID happened and, we lost our jobs, including Gav, and he had this aircraft that he really couldn't afford.
Yeah.
But through a lot of determination, blood, sweat, and tears, he managed to hold on to that aircraft, and he got it flying last week or this week.
It was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So it was a hell of an achievement. But he put up a post on Facebook. I saw it yesterday. It said, in uncertain times, dreams may be hard to follow. This is my story. From my first taste of flight at the tender age of 4 years old, all I wanted to do was fly. Growing up, I was obsessed with anything and everything aviation. I just wanted to fly, escape the bonds of earth and be free. I've been blessed and fortunate to have flown for the past 29 years, making what I love my career, my hobby and passion. To this day, I'm grateful for my experiences I've had. I've also dreamt of owning and flying an aircraft of my own. Thanks to my amazing wife, Mitzi Hill, for understanding and patience. Friends, Ryan Parrock, Ryan Beckley, Pat Watson, John Kearney for pushing me to do it. Raina Kutsia, Mark George, Peter Stein, Steve George, Norman Stapelberg for your input and building such an incredible machine. And thank you, Jason Beamish, for taking her up where she belongs. After 6 years of hard work, sweat, blood, tears, colorful language and dedication from Raina and his team, I present to you RV8's Aurora. May she grace the skies for years to come.
Yeah.
Well done, Gav.
Absolute amazing and heartfelt post that. And I think there's not a single person who hasn't complimented Gav on that color scheme.
Yeah, it's legit.
It's a beautiful looking Airy.
It really is cool.
Yeah.
So the title of today's show is Never Give Up.
Yeah.
And today's show dedicated to our good mate, Gav.
Yeah.
Gav's still with us, so don't you, he's still around.
It's not starting to sound like an obituary.
But it's nice to recognize people when they're around, and not only when they've not around. So Gav is just one of those guys, didn't give up, and what a legend.
Yeah, no, well done, Gav. We're certainly proud of you, and well done on pulling it off, because there's no better feeling than seeing a project go from nothing, like this big pile of nuts and bolts, a million pieces, and someone has the balls to complete it, because there's nothing worse to me. I hate it. I get OCD about it. Unfinished business. I hate that. And Gav pulled it off. He finished it up, and she's flying, and many safe and happy flying hours there, pal.
If you want to see the aircraft, it's the thumbnail to the YouTube video. So if you're listening to the audio, you can check out the aircraft on the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Another special mention, we got another Patreon pledge.
We did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Fran Maidler. Wow. Thank you, Fran.
Thanks, Fran.
Really appreciate that. And I bought something already.
Okay.
With our new Patreon money.
You did?
I did. So, Ryan and I have invested in a little bit of software over the last, 3 months? Or no, a little bit less. So we got the Roadcaster. Roadcaster's working great. It's doing its thing. But the Roadcaster can only record what we say. So if Ryan and I talk rubbish or we sound bad, and our mic technique and our ifs, buts, or there's too many, it's going to sound crap, no matter how good the Roadcaster is. So we got some software that actually, I take the audio recording after the show, put it into the software, and then it can actually highlight all the duplicate words we speak, all our filler words. And Ryan and I look at it every week, and we both think, hey, there's no ways. I never said more than twice. And then we look at this thing, and there's hundreds of filler words, but it gives us a bit of an indication of where we need to work. So we are trying to improve that way. That's our bit of training. That's the work that we're doing. And that's through a bit of software called Descript. And the other software I got now is through a company, Orphonic. So all the leveling runs. So after the show, I take the sound and I put it in some other software, and I've got to play around and make sure that it's all nice and even. And once I'm happy with it, then I send it off to Libsyn, the podcast hosting service, and then it gets sent out to Apple and all the rest. And it's a little bit time consuming. So with the addition of Fran's pledge, I bought some better software, which basically does all that for me. Takes the file from here, the Roadcaster, I send it through to Orphonic, it sorts out the leveling, and then Orphonic sends it back to me without me having to go and fetch it. All about saving time, so it's kind of cool.
That's magic. Well, thank you, Fran, for the pledge and all our other Patreon pledges as well. I mean, anything that can go towards making the show better, which is what we strive to do every week, is greatly appreciated.
It is greatly appreciated.
One more special mention. Duncan Gillespie, one of our other Patreon pledges and massive supporter, turned 60 yesterday.
Yeah, well done, Duncan.
So, Duncan, happy birthday from us. We hope you had a great day and many, many more to come.
Yeah, happy birthday, Duncan. Duncan also a long-time Patreon pledge.
Yes, yeah. So, no, awesome, man.
Yeah. Last mention, it's the guys, the pilot and show guys that got steady climb this weekend. That's at Rhino Airfield. I think it's Saturday and Sunday. So go check that out if you're around. They're doing good things for the industry there.
Yeah, that's great. And for September, busy air show calendar coming up.
Is there?
4th of September is the Rand Airport Air Show.
Okay.
And then from the 21st to 25th of September is the African Aerospace and Defence at Waterkloof. Like right around the corner from our house. Big air show that. So
what date's that one?
21 to 25 September.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just lacquer to see, air shows happening again. I've been waiting for so long to take my little guy to an air show. And it's cool that they're happening again.
That'll be kind of cool,
I reckon.
Last two things. We've got a Discord, subscribe. That's where you need to see us and chat with us. It is a closed group. The invite those in the show notes, and it's all about the Bryan network. So if you want to chat to us, offer us some tips, topics that we might want to talk about on the show, that's where to do it. We're trying to grow the Discord. I like the platform. It's really cool. It's easy to work, and as I say, in the show notes you can find it, and I think it's a nice way to communicate with our listeners. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'm pleading with our listeners. Please, ratings on Apple Podcasts and Spotify go a long way in helping us improve the reach of the show. If you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify, we'd really, really appreciate it. Apple, you've got the option as well of writing a small review and letting people know that the audio quality is good really does make a difference. So if you want to do us a big favor, that would help me out a lot. Ryan, thank you for your time, Paul.
Hey, thanks, man. It's been a great show again. I had a lot of fun today, and looking forward to next week.
See you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Remain this frequency 28 right, echo, cleared for takeoff. Right, echo, cleared for takeoff, runway heading, we with the limit 36. Yeah, 204, 28 right, echo, line up and wait. 28 right, echo, line up and wait, now at 204. EC40 103, contact Chicago departure. Good morning. That was 553, uniform, so left heading 250 and all another turn. Left heading 250, gas 553, uniform. Tower runway 34. Runway 3494 for now, stand November short of echo, and we'll work that out. You can expect the full length for departure. November short of echo, runway 3497. Skywest 553, uniform, turn left heading 220 and contact Chicago departure. Left heading 220, contact departure, Skywest 553, uniform. United 204, fighting 270, 28 right, echo, cleared for takeoff. Okay, 28 right, and echo, cleared for takeoff, heading 270, United 204. Sky 5169.